showing up religiously. And this is the key, right? The key to everyone's success, to show up every single day. And I'm super honored to introduce Rob Carney. It's one of our newest diamonds. And Rob has been with us for about a year and a half or so. I sponsor his enroller, and the guy that I sponsor, he never really became active, but he did one thing. Okay, the best thing that he did in the lifetime that he was Ethereum was to sign up Rob. Thank you, Lucy. It was to sign up Rob. Sometimes we have some of those leaders that we bring into the business, they do nothing, but they bring us a superstar. And that was their sole purpose in our profession. And Rob started really strong. A little bit about Rob before I get started. So Rob is a certified holistic health coach from the Czech Institute. So he did go to school. He's really talented, and he has a bachelor's degree in sustainable food and farming. So he leads wellness meetups in Boston. He's on the East Coast, and he just recently published his first children's book. So he's an author, and his children's book is all about mindfulness and compassion. So he's been an advocate to, wealth and health and food, and just sharing his gift and his medicine to the world. And when he joined Ethereum, let me tell you, Rob, it's one of the most coachable brand partners that I have. Rob does everything that his upline tells him to do. He listens. And that's one of the key traits of a leader, to be coachable, to invest the time. And ever since the first day he showed up, I used to be on the phone with him for hours and hours, going over his prospect list. We'll brainstorm. This girl, I saw her on Facebook. She always posts about health, and we will strategize how to approach them. He show up every single day. He made it to executive, very excited. And then he disappeared. He said that he was too busy and he quit. He sent me a long voicemail, a voice message, and he was explaining how he was very grateful and thankful that I invested so much time on him and everything that we have done as a team. But he was too busy. He had to go back to school, and Ethereum wasn't for him. And I said, okay, Rob. I ignored his message. I straight up ignored it because I said he needs some space. Okay, he needs some time to think over it. He needs some time to be out and realize that this is a dream and that it's worth to experience it. And once you try it, you never, ever want to go back. So I ignored his message. And in the back of my mind, I was like, maybe I should respond and tell him, I understand, Rob. I feel you, whenever you're ready, come back. But I knew he was a leader. So I knew he needed some space. So I let him be. And I kept inviting him to the Zooms, like pretending he never said anything, pretending he never quit, he never left. So every time we had our team trainings, I'll say, Rob, here's the link if you want to join. And I wasn't going to quit on him, because I could see his lights. And then one day he joined a Zoom call, and all of a sudden he became a diamond. And I was like, whoa, he came back so powerful. Because we never stopped creating that life for him, because he came onto Ethereum with faith and trust. And it's our responsibility as the uplines to always keep that vision going for our leaders. So Rob, I'm super excited that you're going to share with us a little bit about your story.
Awesome, Seema. Well, thank you so much, Seema and Lucy, for having me. And Seema, thank you for your kind words and your continued support. So I'll start off a little how I got into the world of health and wellness. Basically, it was about 10 years ago. I had a pretty bad concussion, which led me to reevaluate my health. I was a state swimmer at the time, 3-sport athlete, and then all of a sudden couldn't do any physical activity for about 5 months. So as someone who is very go, yang oriented person, I was forced to reevaluate things. So I got introduced to yoga, which led to meditation, psychology, neuroscience, and just kind of went down the rabbit hole of holistic health. As I found that, people put me on medications and like little patches for my concussion symptoms wasn't quite working. So I turned to acupuncture with massage, Reiki, and anything in the holistic health world, worked with a lot of these practitioners, ended up graduating with a degree in sustainable food and farming, then went to Asia for quite a while, and really learned about the Eastern philosophies in Sri Lanka, where I was the only American there. No one else spoke English. I was about a foot taller and about 30 shades lighter than everyone there. So I stuck out like a sore thumb, and I really had to learn how to communicate with people without the use of a common language. It was a lot of, body language, energetic exchange, and, a lot of smiling and just, really having the language of love in a nonverbal way, which was incredibly life-changing. And so coming back, I remember the first thing, I landed in JFK in New York after coming back from Asia, and I remember hearing everyone complaining. And that was the first time I just heard massive amounts of English, and everyone was just complaining, oh, my flight's late, my flight's this, my wife this, my husband that, whatever the complaints were. And you're realizing, wow, we have a lot of perspective that we need to change. And so after that, I moved out to LA for about 10 months with a startup company in the medical device field. And long story short, the company didn't quite start up, and returned back to Boston with about $10,000 in credit card debt, and decided, it's time for me to take my life in my own hands. I'm done being dependent on other people. And so like any financial advisor would say, I started my own business and spent more money on top of that $10,000 in debt. And then basically, was referring people to these different practitioners I worked with, acupuncture, Reiki, massage, etc. And then quickly found out that that was not a very sustainable business. It was, I refer someone once and then I get paid once, and that was about it. And so fast forward a little bit longer, I was introduced to Purium. I've been seeing Troy Casey post about it for a couple of years. I'd met him actually when I lived out in LA. And then when I went out to the Czech Institute to do my level 2 holistic lifestyle coach training, everyone was talking about Purium. Oh, have you tried the power shake? Oh, have you tried the immunos? Oh, all these great things I was hearing. And so then eventually I was like, you know what? This might be the time that I stop being skeptical about the network marketing business. I stopped being skeptical about these products. And then I just dove in. And like Seema said, I started out my first month, or second month, I think I reached consultant. Then I hit director a couple months after, and came up pretty quickly after I went to the convention and met Ron, Seema, and everyone in person, which was, that's kind of was the catalyst to the change. And then like Seema said, some things happened in my life that I was kind of like, I don't know if Purium's for me anymore, and had some limiting beliefs, had some doubts, and then basically took about 4 months off. And so it was actually about a year ago. I took September, October, November, and most of last December off. And then it was actually right around the end of last December that I said, I'm ready to commit to this again. And then basically January 1st is when I started back up, and really made the decision that this is what I want to do. And some of that actually took me stepping away from it to recognize that. And so to everyone listening, my message is, you don't have to make that that step back decision to see that this is or is not for you. And a lot of that is just going to be limiting beliefs that we work through. And so I know Dale, who's on this call, we work together a lot about limiting beliefs, and it's been a great joy to work with all these people. I consider Dale one of my best friends now, as we talk on, at least 4 or 5 times a week, at least on the phone. And we're constantly working together and coaching each other. I think that's one thing about this business that has just been so phenomenal, is the personal development side of things. Obviously, the health is great, the money is great, but the personal development and the connections is just mind-blowing. And, on that note is, as Seema said, like having the ability to contact Ross, Seema, Troy, whoever is, there to support me, is to say, look, I'm having some challenges right now. I need some help. And, in our society, we're conditioned to believe that asking for help is, being weak. But it's really shown me that if I can ask for help, which I didn't at the time that I took the time off, it's really been, as I said, a personal development journey. It's been a lot of fun to connect with all these people and have opportunities to share an incredible vehicle to help people both with their health, their finances, and personal development. So, and now here we are, and that's my story.
Thank you so much, Rob. Thank you for your honesty. And one of the things about Rob is that Lucy actually told me this when I hit diamond. And she said most people that hit diamond never requalify for diamond. They hit diamond. That's why diamond is such an important rank, because you either keep going or you quit. Because 15,000 points is a lot of points. And it might seem a little bit overwhelming when you hit executive and it's 6,000 and all of a sudden you have to go for 15. It's kind of mind blowing. I remember looking at Lucy and Raw and Michael, and I was like, that's impossible. I'm never made it to 15,000, right? And then once I hit diamond, I was like, I'm never gonna make it to 150,000 to make it to crown. And it is always this impossible, unachievable goal to get to the next rank. So Rob, how did you feel when you came back as an executive and you had to get to diamond? You know, it's double the amount of points. What is it that what did you do? Any advice you can give to anyone on the call and how to get their mindset right to double their points and maybe use that community, use your downline? What is it that you did to get to the next goal?
Yeah, so I'd say, so the month before I hit diamond, I had, I think it was 8,600 volume as an executive. And I remember somewhere in the middle of the month, I was on the phone with Ra and we were talking about some stuff. And he was like, just so you know, it's possible for you to reach diamond this month. And honestly, that's all I really needed, was for someone to tell me, no, it's possible. Because as you said, when I saw, oh, last month I had 1,600, how can I possibly get that 15,000 this month? That's a huge goal that sounds unrealistic. But then just having someone who's done it say, hey, you know, this is possible right now if you make the commitment. And so basically once I heard that and we kind of walked through like, all right, so what does it take to get there? We kind of made the numbers work. And that was one thing that's always stuck out from me, or that Ra shares with me or with everyone, is that make the numbers work. So basically I went through and was like, all right, so what does it take? I think at that point it was like, I don't know, like the 15th of the month, and I was at, 6,000 or something like that. And so we made the numbers work and we figured out, all right, if I recruit this many people, if my team gets this many people, how can we make this work? And so long story short is that's what we did. And a lot of that was the decision to make the numbers work. And, with that, it was a mindset shift, that it kind of went from this place of scarcity to this place of abundance and possibility. And when I first heard the whole like manifestation, think of abundance, it kind of sounded like a lot of woo-woo talk, to be honest. And then it was really just a matter of reprogramming my brain to realize, wow, this actually is possible. And now that I've been diamond since May, so for like, this is like 4 or 5 months now more limiting beliefs are coming up, that it's like, oh man, how am I going to get to green diamond? That's so many more points. It's 15,000 more points. So now it's a next level of kind of unraveling the personal development. And what I've been focused on the past couple months is really supporting my team grow, because recognizing right now to get green diamond, I need 3 directors. So is really, if I can help support my team, yeah, maybe I won't get green diamond next month, or this month rather, but now if I build up my team, that's setting the stage, is that I'm focused on growing every single month. And it's just kind of a matter of building the team, working with the downline and working with the upline, and then working on myself.
Yeah, that definitely is the key, right? Working the numbers and making a map, because getting to diamond, you need a team. There's so much product that you can sell by yourself. So leveraging the team is key. And you do have some incredible superstars that are supporting, your business, everyone's business, because requalifying to diamond every month after you hit it, it's good. And Lucy will tell me, slow progress endures. When you become a solid diamond and every single month you hit diamond, no matter what's going on, that is a successful diamond. So Rob, in your process, from coming in as an executive, then taking time off, and then coming back into the business, hitting a diamond, requalifying for diamond, and now, about to hit green, what are some of the mistakes that you faced that you wish you could have avoided? Some of the mistakes. So, we all learn from each other's mistakes, and this is why we're growing faster than every other team in Purium, because we're learning from each other and we don't want to commit the same mistakes. So what can you share with us? Something that you wish you could have avoided?
Yeah, I'd say, well, in my own personal perspective, I don't see anything as a mistake per se. I see it as a learning experience. But with that being said, I'd say, making the commitment earlier on to committing to the growth. And I think also would be educating myself on network marketing earlier on. It took me, I think, 3 or 4 months into the business before I read my first network marketing book. And I was very naive coming into it. I didn't really know what it was or what I was really getting involved with. All I knew was like, oh, this is, a way to make money with some good products that I enjoy. So I'd say educating myself on network marketing earlier on, as soon as possible, if not before anyone even joins the business. Now I recommend, as people are interested, check out the 4-year career. I can send it to you for free on Audible. Check out GoPro. I can send it for free on Audible. So I always say education about the business model, I think, is huge to really conceptualize all that. Because again, before, like you said, I was just kind of selling and recruiting, kind of not understanding, there's a little bit more strategy involved with that. And I'd say also another thing that I would do more of is, practicing like we do now in the prospecting calls, is learning new strategies and collaborating. But yeah, so I'd say the biggest one, though, is the education piece, is just really grounding myself and ourselves in the business of network marketing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. That's something that I also faced because when I joined, I also didn't know anything about network marketing. And I also share that same idea of educating ourselves before we get into the business, or right when we sign up, educating ourselves in personal development and entrepreneurship, because we are running a legitimate business. So in that note, we like to share our struggles, because everyone struggles, but we tend to only talk about, our successes and not share what we actually went through to get there. And our struggles is what builds us. It builds our grit. It builds our strength of character. We all started, invited people, and then got rejected and hurt our ego, because being an entrepreneur means being vulnerable and saying, hey, all right, I'm going to go get rejected for an hour, right? I'm going to call everyone in, and you got to get ready to be rejected. So how did you handle adversity and doubt? How did you face that insecurity every time you were rejected? Because a lot of us have never done network marketing, and being rejected hurts our heart. At least it hurts mine. I would take it so personally, and then I will be crying because everyone's saying no. And then I'll have these doubts if this business is not for me. So how did you handle adversity and doubt to really push mountains and get to your dream?
Great question. And before I answer that, I just want to chat what network marketing books would I recommend. I'd say Building an Empire by Brian Carruthers is definitely the best book that I've read. And then The 4-Year Career and GoPro and the 45-second presentation are also very good. But to answer your question about adversity, I think the biggest thing is, again, it comes back to mindset, is recognizing the fact that people are going to say no. And no matter what business you're in, and before this, in the medical device industry, my job was sales and marketing. So I would go to these trade shows and talk to some of the top doctors in the world, like we were selling a $50,000 piece of equipment. So this was something that, was not easy to, show someone why they needed it. And a lot of that was getting a lot of no's. We go to trade shows, talk to hundreds of doctors, and get denied for, 99% of them. So I think a lot of it is just recognizing that no is part of life. And even then, when someone says no, I've had people say no, and then a year later say, hey, I'm ready to join the business. And I think you've said it before, Seema, is no just means not yet. So I don't necessarily mark anyone off as a no. I just say, all right, that's kind of like a cold lead. That's a long-term lead. I'll put them in a different pile. And so every so often, usually every few months, I go through all my Facebook friends and just scan through again. So I'll just go boom, boom, boom down the line. So usually one day I'll do all the people's names start with A, then all the people start with B, and just kind of go down letter by letter. So I know where I'm at with that. And I think you know, a lot of it comes down to the personal development side of things as well, is that, you know, recognizing that it's not necessarily about the other person, it's about ourselves, how we presented it to them. Because in my opinion, everyone should be involved with a network marketing company to some degree or another. I personally believe it is one of, if not the best business model in the world. So the way I see it is that, all right, if this person said no, it's probably because of something I did, not them. Maybe it's the way I presented it, or maybe it's the time I presented it, or the way I presented it. Maybe this is someone who's really busy and is getting spammed by text message all day. Maybe I should have done a phone call and called them, or maybe I shouldn't have, you know, tried to convince them. I should just portray the opportunity for what it is. So I think a lot of it is looking inward and not saying, oh, that person didn't like me. It's like, well, how can I improve on that? And I think a lot of it does take some humility and some accountability. But I always say is like, let's look to ourselves first, because how we portray that message is really how it's going to be received. And to kind of wrap that point up, is one practice I try to do before is really ground myself before I reach out. So whether that's taking a deep breath, just taking a second to pause and ground my energy before, you know, saying, hey, come check this out. It's, you know, it's coming from a place that's more grounded. And then also setting intentions before. As I say, I'm not trying to convince this person or get this person. My intention is to help this person. And that may be, you know, having them join the business. That may just be educating them. That may be, you know, selling them some products. Whatever it is, my intention is to help them. Or maybe it's to show them that 6 months down the road, once they finish their schooling, that this is a good opportunity for them. So to wrap up, I'd say it's working on ourselves, recognizing that it starts with us, and setting a grounding and intention before we reach out to someone.
Yeah, thank you for that, Rob. That definitely is looking inside and how we present the opportunity. It has nothing to do with them. It's always about us. Even our team not working, it's about us. Are we working? Because the team follows the leader. So that's a great answer. Another thing, so a lot of us come from being employees, right? We have this employee mindset that people need to tell us what to do. So we come in and we expect our upline to tell us everything to do. And if it doesn't work out, they blame the upline, right? Instead of us, because we just have been programmed to be employees and not be business owners. So I want you to share with us, being a business owners. I know we have a lot of business owners in here that are, and business owners typically do the best in this business because they have the ethic of what it takes to run an organization. And as you hit diamond, responsibilities changes, right? Because as a diamond, you've proven to be a leader, you've proven to start a successful business. I'll say our Purium business really starts when we hit diamond, because now we have people to work with. We have teams and we have different responsibilities. So what are some of the responsibilities that you feel that now you have that you didn't have as an executive, a director, or a consultant, because you have a bigger team? I want everyone to start knowing, how does it feel to be a diamond? Because only from that place of feeling what it feels to be a diamond, we can achieve diamond. So what are some of the responsibilities and the things that you do now that you didn't do before?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's still something, I think that's the biggest challenge right now, is finding the balance of all these activities, because now, you know, we still have the responsibilities of a consultant, director, executive, and now we have more. So I think for me, my biggest challenge is finding the proper balance of how much time should I be spending on each thing. And a lot of it is just, you know, trying some more energy here, more energy there. But I'd say as a whole, you know, a lot of it is continuing to recruit, as, you know, a consultant, director, executive does, supporting the team, you know, as a director, executive does, and then also creating new systems, like you always talk about with Roz, creating systems. So within my team, we have our own opportunity call, we have our own, you know, weekly team meeting, or team training, as you could call it. So it's kind of finding the balance of, you know, doing new systems, still recruiting and supporting the team growth. and also still working with the upline within my team. So that's definitely, I'd say, the biggest challenge is finding that balance of, because some days are different. Sometimes the team needs support more than others, and sometimes they're on their own and they're doing their thing. And also a lot of it, I'd say, is also finding the balance between motivating people and not being too pushy. Because that's definitely, a fine line for people that are doing this part-time or aren't as active. It's like, I want to be there to support them and give them motivation to show, like, look, as I said earlier, I think this is one of, if not the best business models in the world. So kind of showing that, but also at the same time, like you did for me, giving them space to come to that decision on their own. And so I think that is definitely a big challenge at times. But for me personally, I have probably, 25 people in my front line, but recognizing that a good portion of those are either just placing a smart order or kind of, doing this part-time. So it is, as you said, still sending the Zoom links, but not being like, hey, you need to be here. Saying like, look, if you're around and I know you're working your other 3 jobs or whatever, if you're able to make this, I'd love to see you there. So to kind of recap, I'm rambling a little bit. Recruiting, supporting the team, still learning from the upline, still trying to attend all the Zooms and building systems, I'd say, are the main responsibilities. And then still working on myself and my own personal development.
Yeah, I love that. And I love how you said that, you created your own team calls, your own trainings. And you guys know that we are very community oriented. And I remember sharing with Lucy and saying, Lucy, they created their own team and they have their own Facebook group and they have their own, calls. And I was like, I feel they broke up with me. They don't like what I'm doing. Why they can't join my team calls? And Lucy's like, you want that. You want everyone in your team to become independent, and you want everyone to take the lead and create their own things and become their own business, because that means that we're having a successful business. So I love that you are a leader, and you also spoke about prospecting, right? And prospecting is the key. I'm still prospecting as a crown every single day. Every day. Yes, last night I message every single of my customers that got transformation because I wanted to upgrade them. So prospecting is definitely key, and you're really good at that. You brought really great leaders into your business. So how can you know who is a good prospect for your business? How can you know when you meet someone in the street that it's a potential superstar for your business? What are some of the traits that you spot on people? Because you're so good at bringing in leaders.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think it's definitely a challenge to figure that out. I think the only way we can get better at that is by putting in the repetitions. It's just like anything, like Michael and I were talking about basketball before, is like if you're, a basketball player and you're shooting free throws, you're shooting thousands of free throws before you're making, 70, 80, 90% of those in. So I'd say part of it is just, practicing and learning about psychology at a basic level, I think, is important too. And in terms of traits, I'd say usually if I'm chasing someone, they're probably not the best fit for this business because I am coming off as needy and almost like I need them more than they want to be a part of our team. So I think people that are, generally excited about joining, that are reaching out to me, and obviously that doesn't always happen. And I'm not saying like don't follow up or anything, because follow up is a huge part of this business. But I think it's kind of recognizing the people that are kind of like, yeah, maybe, and kind of playing it off. Those may be the people that, are just kind of inactive, placing a smart order or whatever, which is okay. If they want to do that and put a few sales in here and there, that's okay. But for the most part now, I'm focused more on, finding those leaders and supporting leaders that are there. So in terms of traits, I'd say being excited about it. I'd say, like you said, business owners tend to be good. Teachers tend to be good. I think moms tend to be very good, as they're very, caring and they're very well connected. So I'd say I kind of look for, teachers, leaders of any sort, whether that's a business owner or speaker or any sort of leader. And then I'd say, just kind, caring, compassionate people that, want to make a difference in the world.
Yeah, awesome. That is definitely some of the traits that I also look for, and those are definitely teachers the best, right? Because we're in the business of humans and learning how to deal with humans. It's so difficult. It's actually the most difficult business, right? Because we're dealing with mindset, with people's limits and beliefs, with people's programming in their brains. So teachers are definitely great candidates for this business. So in that note, what advice could you give us in being a great leader? What are some of the traits? Because you are a top leader. What advice can you give a lot of us that are just starting on this business to become leaders, to become the best version of ourselves?
Yeah, and I think it's going to come back to the mindset in starting with ourselves. Like you said, is that the team moves at the pace of the leader, and I think that it really comes down to how can I improve myself every single day. And sometimes that's actually not working. Sometimes that's going for a walk. Sometimes that's going into my garden and actually completely disconnecting. Because if I'm not 100%, then I'm maybe responding to a question or prospecting, but I'm kind of doing it in this like half energy, maybe kind of stressed out mode, which, like I said earlier, that's not a good place to be coming from when I'm talking to people. I don't want to be talking to people from like a place of scarcity and stress. So sometimes the best thing that I can do for myself is to, for 2 hours or whatever, just turn off my phone, go for a walk, go into nature. Or even this past weekend, I got an Airbnb in Vermont and worked up there, but also took time to, sit by the fire, go hiking, go swimming in some waterfalls. And so I think it's finding a balance of really grounding ourselves to allow that creativity and that authentic expression to, show itself, but still obviously putting in the work. And it's definitely a balance. But for me, doing what I do, I love doing, so it doesn't necessarily feel like work. But I'd say, yeah, to sum that up is really taking the time to focus on ourselves, really ground ourselves and be the best version of ourselves, because how we put ourselves into the world, if we're coming off as stressed, as angry, as whatever, people aren't going to want to work with us. If we're on social media with bags under our eyes, yelling at the camera, getting all angry, it's like we're like, whoa, I don't want to work with that guy. And this guy's telling me how happy and healthy he is, and then he's putting that out there. So I think a lot of it does come down to being authentic and living the life that we talk about. And a lot of that is just being a product of the product. And I think that's one thing is I take pride in that I have good energy. My skin is pretty clear in terms of the products. I've always had a buzzed head, and now I have hair growing. So this is definitely something that's new to me as well. So trying to just be as healthy as and honest and authentic as I can is the best thing I can do. And then the final message I'll leave on this note is, whenever I'm doing working with anyone, whether it's coaching clients or within the Purian business or anything, is I say that life really comes down to patience, persistence, and consistency. So if we can embody those three traits of patience, persistence, consistency, whatever goal we have is going to manifest itself. It may not be in the time frame that we envision. Like if I say I want to call or I want to be crowned by the end of this month, like that's may not happen. But if I say I am a crown and I am patient, persistent, and consistent towards working to that goal, it may take a few months or a year or however long it takes, but it will happen. So that's my take-home message: patience, persistence, consistency.
I love that. I love that. I've been reading a lot of Joe Dispenza, and I was sharing with my team earlier that when you focus on all those things and you skip the how and the when, things show up. It's the how and the when that creates disappointments, because it's an expectation. You're focusing how it's going to happen, and how it's going to happen is never going to be the way, right? You have a plan, and then that's not going to follow through. But if you focus on the final output, um, and you release all that attachment and expectation, things do happen. And I remember when I wanted to become a crown, and I was so focused on when and how, and it could never happen. I could never move forward because I was so attached to when and how it was going to happen. And when I
Right.
focused on the downline and just helping my team succeed, and then boom, it magically happened. right? Because I release that expectation. So I agree with you.
Yeah, Seema, I'd like to jump in on that real quick too. Is I feel that when I first hit diamond, is that I never, expressed gratitude for being a diamond. I was like, all right, green diamond's next, and I was like, all right, I think I hit it in May, so I think I was like, oh, June 30th, I'm gonna hit green diamond. And just like you said, I was so focused on this date and this number that I stopped actually doing the things that got me to diamond in the first place. So then the past couple months or past few months has really been focused, like you said, is, building structure, focusing on growing myself. When green diamond happens, it happens. I'm not attached to an outcome anymore, which I think was, putting pressure on myself that was unneeded. So yeah, I like what you said, that the why is what matters, but the how and the when will happen naturally.
Yeah, it's amazing. I always say passion. It's literally the root of who we are. Passion. It's at a cellular level, who we are. We are light. We are energy. And when we are living our true passion, we attract people with that passion, which matches ours. And this is when we can co-create bigger and bigger things, and things that are bigger than ourselves. So if we're not living our passion, how can we create, right? How can we build and attract those people? Because our job is not to motivate anyone, it's to find motivated people. And to find that motivated people, we need to be the motivated ones on the first place. And I love that you are living your passion, Rob. Everyone can hear in your words, everyone listening feels that you are living your passion. And I'll say our job at Imperium and network marketing and in life is to create passion playgrounds. A big playground when we can all come and share our passion and share our medicine. And some of us, my medicine might be smiling too much. Your medicine might be always holding space for someone. So find what is your medicine that heals the world. I know we can't say the world healing, but I'm not making any claims in regards to health. I'm saying, what is your medicine? Find your medicine and then start sharing that. And once you start sharing that, you're going to create a passion playground. And in our team, it's all about passion. Everyone that comes in gets inspired and starts to rank advance. And that's why we're rank advancing the love team. Lucy can't even catch up with all the recognition. It's just because we are living our passion. And I will say that if you guys are stuck in your rank, replay this Zoom and hear Rob words again and again and again, because he is living his passion. And it's awesome to see you thrive and grow, and I'm super excited. So where do you see yourself in the future, Rob, with Purium? Where do you see yourself going?
Yeah, thank you. And I'd say where I see myself in the future is, so obviously I have a love for gardening and farming, so I plan on having my own homestead with lots of fresh fruits and veggies and animals running around. Where that is, I'm still gaining clarity on exactly where that is in the world. But in terms of Purium, I see it being the vehicle that, allows me to live that life and allows me to do things like write children's books, which may not be as profitable, but I enjoy that. I used to lead an after school program up until March when lockdown happened. So to me, I love working with kids, but again, that wasn't paying very well either. It was, again, teachers don't get paid very much. So to me, being able to have Purium as a vehicle to help people with their own health and their finances, and that allows me to coach because again, I was doing coaching before lockdown happened too, and then I kind of transitioned more full-time into Purium. So to me, being able to coach people within Purium to be able to help people with their health, their finances, and use that as the vehicle, which, everything else of my life kind of branches off of. So if Purium is kind of like the tree trunk, then my homestead is able to happen because Purium fuels that finance. The children's books are able to happen because I have the freedom and independence. And then a lot of the other things like the ice and iron, the meetup groups, like a lot of that, again, that's not very financially boosting, but again, I'm able to do these because Purium is the backbone of all those things. So I foresee myself, within the next year being at the crown level as well. And I've always wanted to go to India to do my yoga teacher training. So I'm telling myself once I hit crown, my treat to myself is to go to India and do my yoga teacher training out there. So very excited for that, which will be happening soon.
I love that, Rob. I love how you see the price, right? Achieving crown, achieving the rank. You see the price as an opportunity, not as an obligation. The price of achieving crown is the opportunity for you to now write more children books, for you to start living your life and what freedom feels like to you. It's going to India, becoming a yoga instructor. So I love how we see more opportunities, not just getting to diamond, it's not just getting to crown, and then now what, right? Is that never ending like craving, I guess. And I was like that. I was like, I gotta get it to crown, I gotta get it to blue diamond, that's it. And then Raw will tell me, once you get to crown, you're gonna want to go to crown, and when you get to diamond, you're gonna want to go to green diamond, and you're never gonna be happy if you just feel it's an obligation to rank advance. And when you switch that mindset, and as you said, you were diamond, and then immediately you're like, oh, I gotta be a green diamond. You actually never took the moment to enjoy your diamond. And when you actually embrace your work in the success that you created, now you see rank advancing as another opportunity to get you closer to your vision, to your dream, to your why, of why you started in the business in the first place. So I want to thank you, Rob, so much. I love you. We are so inspired in you. And I want to open up or pass it back to Lucy or anyone that has any questions for Rob in the next couple minutes. Michael.
Yeah, I've got a question for Rob. Hi, Rob. Great call, Seema. Really wonderful, humble nature you have, Rob. I love your heart and your style. You're just such a good soul, man. But we were talking before the call started, y'all. He happens to live in Boston, okay? So one of the things I know, since I've been a Laker fan for years, and our rival has been Boston, and I don't know if Rob grew up in Boston, but he did. All right. Well, let me just tell you this right now, y'all. He's a team player. And when you grow up in Boston, one of my best friends lives in a little town called Woburn, right outside of the city. And so, Rob, I know what an intense team player you are. And it just shows in everything, in your great balance and your personality. Who are some of your team members on your team that are really give us a couple names of some of your superstars coming up that you love and are having such fun with?
Yeah, thank you, Michael. And definitely Boston is a good place to be. It's a good place to grow up. And as you said, it teaches you, a lot about team, as sports are huge out here. And also, I think a little bit about, challenges with the winters are absolutely brutal. So that definitely gives you a little bit of a tough skin, to say the least, to plow through months of gray clouds and snow. But in terms of my team members, I'd say, Dale and Laura have been my two biggest team members that have really been shining as of late. And so, the three of us have really come together to, make a lot of these systems happen, whether that's the opportunity calls. And, as I said, I'm on the phone with Dale quite a bit. And I know Dale's on this call. So shout out to Dale, who is definitely, running away with this thing. And it's so exciting to be working with these people. And then we have people like Marcelo, who are incredibly passionate. And, Marcelo's heart is one of freaking gold. That's all I can say there. So it's great to be connected with these people. And then people like Mike Healy, always committed, always showing up. So there's so many. I mean, I could go on and on, but I think I was looking at some of the names that were in here earlier. I just appreciate people showing up. And I'd say that's one thing, all I really ask for is, if you show up, that's half the battle. And it's going to take some time before, things are rock and rolling, because we're all at different places in our life. But, life is good. We got a lot of good people on this team, and it's a great organization, both upline, downline, and unit level, whatever level we're at. We got a lot of good people. So I'm truly blessed and grateful to be, exactly where I am right now. And I thank you all for being here.
Thank you, everyone, for sharing the last 15 minutes with us. And we'll take another question if everyone have any other, or just some words of wisdom Sorry, Solar's crying over here.
You need to unmute yourselves if you want to, any questions or any comments.
I got a question. What would be, I mean, I know we all have different people that we connect with, but what would you say is your like ideal customer avatar? What's your target market that you look for right now?
That's a great question, and it's actually something that I am continuously adapting with and trying out different areas. Right now, I've been mostly focused on, because right now I try to think, what do I do? That's what I'm going to post about. So I post a lot about ice baths. I do a lot about makeup training. So I do gardening. So I always tell people on my teams, like, whatever you do and whatever you like dive into that niche, because that's where people can be able to relate with you more. So, if I'm looking into, I don't know, gymnasts, like I don't have any experience in being a gymnast besides, doing some grass. So I always say is like I go into, people that are interested in ice baths, cold therapy, mace training, gardening. So those are kind of the three things that I share a lot about. So I always say, look at what you like to do and then find leaders within that niche, because that's where naturally where you will, kind of mesh best with those people. Again, I'm not going to be looking at, fans of hockey. I like basketball. Basketball is my sport. I don't know a lot about hockey. I mean, I know the basics, but I'm not going to be looking at hockey players. So whatever I know the most about and the most passionate about, I feel like that's where it's easiest for me to connect. And I'm sure that there are other methods that people use, but that's kind of the approach I've been experimenting with lately.
Thanks, man.
Hey, Rob.
What's up, Ezra?
Hey, so you you make it really clear when you present the opportunity, I've noticed, and I was just wondering what your tips are on like presenting the opportunity, like the pitch, essentially.
Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing is, not being afraid. I feel like that was one thing early on that I was afraid, like, what if they say no? Or like, oh, what if, I say something stupid, or what if I say something that they don't like, or I say something wrong? And I was so caught up in my head about being right and trying to, get this person to on board. And I think that was one thing about three-way calls that I felt a lot of pressure on, that there was times where, I was like, oh, my team member is, expecting me to close this person, and that there was a lot of pressure. And so that's what I really like about the opportunity calls now, is that, it's more of a presentation and people can naturally listen in. There's a lot less pressure on them and a lot less pressure on me. And I think that just by sharing my authentic experience is the only real message I can give. Like, I'm not saying, oh, I'm making $1 million in this company, you can too, because like I'm not. And that's okay. It's like, well, if you want to make a few extra $1,000 a month, I can show you the blueprint there. So I think it's just, showing people where you're at. And like maybe in your case, if you're saying, hey, look, these products have really helped me with my health, because you can tangibly say that. So I think it's just, working with what you have experience in, but then also use other people's stories. Like if you don't have experience with, making thousands of dollars per month in this business, say, oh, like, someone on my upline, oh, Seema has done this. She's really successful. She was an architect. Use other people's stories. And again, just be unapologetic and don't worry about being right or being wrong. Is just share your story, because your story is your story, and that's right. That's true.
I agree with that. Yeah, thank you, Rob. I agree with that. I always say this is why it's super important that we attend all the opportunity calls by the company, because in the opportunity calls, we hear other people's stories. I joined the business because this is what's going on. I joined this because this is what's going on. I tried the products because I was dealing with this issue. And as many company calls we're on, the more that you're gonna learn about other people's stories, and then you can go into back office and find the recording and send it to somebody that has the same exact story. But the only way for you to know about their stories is by attending the calls. If you're not attending the company calls, you're not gonna have a clue. If somebody says, hey, I have Lyme disease, would this product help out? And Rob is going to say, yeah, wait a moment. He's going to go into back office. Rob joins the company calls. He joins our team calls, and we share our stories. And now he has the opportunity to send testimonials. So the stories, Rob, I think that's key. I think you nailed it. It's definitely that. Sharing other people's stories. That means you got to get educated with other people's stories. All right. Somebody have a question? Oh, I think she just unmuted herself. Okay. All right. I think that we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much, Rob. Thank you so much for all the service that you bring to the planet. Thank you for activating the voice of all those people that don't see hope. And you are just a guide, right? I always say leaders don't help, leaders guide. Okay, leaders guide people to their own answers. We don't help them. We don't take the credit. People do it on their own. And you are such a perfect example of being a guide to people's lights, to people's dreams and visions and health. So I am so honored to have you part of our team, Purium Love Team, and so thankful for you and your wisdom by sharing with all of us your magic and your medicine so we can learn from you. So thank you, and thank you everyone for coming on the call. You have an incredible weekend, and we shall see you next Saturday at 10 a.m.
All right, I have mute everybody, so one round of applause for Rob and Sigma. Yeah!
Thank you, Rob. Love you, Rob.
Rob, you're awesome.
Thank you so much. You were awesome. Learned a lot. This was great. Good. Beyond good.
Even Paula appreciates this one.
Thank you. Love it.
Thank you. See you next week. Have a great weekend.
This guy's not.
Guys, I'm going to be on the call on Monday, Map.
Wait a minute, Monday, you want more of Sigma? Come on,
Yes.
Monday, call at 6 p.m.
Monday at 6 p.m. are going to be leading the Monday Map. Make sure you bring your teams. We're going to talk about objections, how to face someone saying no, because that's our biggest fear. So make sure you bring in your team Monday at 6 p.m.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thanks again, Rob. You were fantastic, brother.
Hi, guys. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Well, thank you, Lucy.
Everyone, be blessed.
Let's get it this weekend.